Okay, I'm going to go ahead and record. Okay, thank you all for hopping on this morning. My name is Stacey Fraley. I'm a Senior Ruby Ambassador, and I've had the pleasure now of working with Leslie twice. I met her in Atlanta, and then she was here in Raleigh a few weeks ago, and we were so fortunate to have a special leaders dinner. She does this the night before events in different cities, and I think there were, like 15 of us there that night, and we just loved it. It was so amazing. So we asked how we could get more at Leslie, and she told us about this advanced leaders course that she does for Ruby and above, and she's going to tailor it just for Plexus. And I'm going to let Leslie explain it because she does a much better job explaining it and getting us excited about all that she has to offer. So go ahead, Leslie, take it away.
Okay, excellent. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all had a nice Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. Glad you're making some time today. You know, after the leader dinner, like Stacey says, when I go on the road and do a Saturday training, regardless of the company, we always do a leader dinner the night before. It's, you know, I have a real passion for leadership. And when I'm talking with a client, perhaps someone like Stacey who brings me in, I mean, the best way I can help you is to help you develop your leadership skills and to help you transfer leadership skills to your team. That's the best way to drive points. That's the best way to drive growth. That's the best way to drive achievement. You know, when we talk about leadership development, as we get to Senior Ruby and above, you know, wherever you are in the pay plan, when we get to a certain level of leadership, we talk about leadership development, and a lot of times people are just thinking about their own personal leadership development, which, yes, that is extremely important. So we will definitely be talking about how you define your leadership style. What type of leader do you want to be? How do you react? How do you respond? How do you lead? When situations are good, how do you hold people up? When situations are frustrating, or people let you down, or people betray you, or people quit, or they're gonna walk the plank, you know, how do you deal with them? It's not just about being their friend. It's not just about, or it's never about being Pollyanna, I believe. And I really think it's about how do we hold them up, how do we hold ourselves up for those candid conversations, and how do we hold our team up for the reality of what this takes. There's a lot of fun, there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of personal development as well. And those ups and downs, and leadership and our ability to lead and how we choose to lead plays such an important role. So it's not only personal leadership, we're going to talk about how do we duplicate leadership. You all are working with wonderful women. Not everybody's off the dime. Not everybody's moving forward, or people get off to some type of a start and then they get stuck. So what do? We can't just cheerlead them to move forward. What do we say? How do we point out how they're not moving forward? How do we let people go with love and grace and not slow ourselves down? I think one of the biggest challenges for leaders is the fact that when we have X amount of people working on our team, if many of them are not moving at a certain pace, we slow down our pace to match their pace. And how do we not do that? Like, how do we stay true to our dream, where we want to go, and continue that pace to the top of the pay plan? And knowing your company and looking at 2017, I think you're really in for a banner year. And it's going to be those leaders who certainly have their hands out and are willing to work with the people that they have. But remember that it's new blood, it's new ambassadors, new business building ambassadors, not wholesale buying consumer ambassadors, but those business builders who have a dream and a desire to move forward and build and go. That's what we're looking for. So I made a little list. There's a lot of things we cover in 6 weeks. It's a very comprehensive class. I do them all the time. They're very popular. In fact, most classes after 6, they want another 6, because as you all know at your level, I mean, we could talk weeks on leadership. But I put a list together on just some of the topics that we could cover in the 6 weeks class. Okay, first of all, we always are going to talk about the mindset, like the mindset of a leader. What does that look like? How do you get the mindset so it drives your discipline, it drives your pace, it drives your courage, it drives your accountability, self-accountability. So we talk about the mindset of being a leader. We talk about who deserves your time. Boy, this is a tough one for most leaders because we like everyone. I like everyone. And I see the potential of everyone, but is everybody prepared to move? No, for a variety of reasons, which we won't get into right now. But learning as a leader to identify those reasons, try to help them move through that, but again, not slow down our pace to the pace of someone who, for whatever reason, is not prepared to move right now. How to build and sustain titles. Wow, that's a big one, right? Like, how do we set those goals? How do we set those goals for title? How do we set those goals for points? How do we set those goals for sponsoring? Okay, if someone's a Steve Ruby, how do we set the goal for Emerald? And then what do we do by looking at the organization? What are the activities that we can do that can drive them to Emerald faster, or drive them to Sapphire faster, or drive them to Diamond faster? And not just for the people on your team, but for you as well. So genealogy, organization, where are your points coming from? Do you understand how your organization is growing? Are you looking at the data, especially in those high money levels, levels 1 to 4? Are you looking at the data and are you understanding what it's telling you? Are you seeing where the growth is? Or are you just reacting every month and saying, well, you know, we're flat, or yeah, we're growing slowly? Are you figuring out why? And so we do a lot about looking at your organization, looking at the data. What does the data tell you, so that you can literally drive points? I mean, that's really fundamentally what a leadership class is all about. How do we pick up the pace of growth? So we will be definitely looking at your organization. And we talk a lot about pace. Pace from the perspective of you, and pace from the perspective of the new ambassadors that you sponsor. You know, Stacy knows and we talked about this a lot at that leader dinner when we were last together. You know, if you look at the number of silver ambassadors, like if you just took one gauge, if we just took one gauge, to me it would be how many ambassadors, business building ambassadors, are we sponsoring? And of those women, how many are we getting to silver? And not just how many are we getting to silver, how quickly we get them to silver. Just that one gauge, I'm convinced, can make a difference in the growth of your business. For many of you, you haven't developed a silver in a long time, okay? No judgment. My question is why, right? Because there are solutions. There are ways to get more people to silver faster. And we're going to talk a lot about that in this class. It's the way we set it up in the pre-qual conversation before we ever even enroll her. It's the things we say as we enroll her. It's how we help her identify her why and what she wants to do with her Plexus business, how we help her with time management, how we set those initial goals to be silver. Not everyone's even setting that as an initial goal. So we'll talk a lot about pace. And again, if you could look into 2017, and the timing of this course is perfect. Stacy wanted, and talking with Jamie, we wanted first quarter. We want to help you jumpstart first quarter as you go into 2017. It's like that first 90-day plan would be around how many, not only how many ambassadors do you want to sponsor, how many of them want to build a business, and how many of them can we get to silver. So that would play a big role, a big topic. Three-way calling. Not everybody can say that the three-way calling activity in their organization is at a level they want. They can want more three-way calls. They can talk about having more three-way calls, but then they'll say, well, I really don't know what to do. I don't know how to train them. I don't know the language. Well, I've got tons of language, tons of strategies. Three-way calling was always an important aspect when I was in the field. I train it all the time. Many different companies. We've got scripts. We've got language. There are definite strategies where you can start with your key leaders. We can give them the language, give them the training, give them the skill sets, and literally drive three-way calling in your organization. In fact, the first Plexus Diamonds that called me a couple years ago, that was one of the first goals. They weren't doing three-way calls at all. And I said, wow, if you can get to Diamond without doing three-way calls, imagine how fast your organization is going to grow with three-way calls as part of your method of operation. And she's going, what do you call it when you're going for double diamond? Re-entered, and is going for double diamond. And it's just had 3 record months in a row. So, and I know she would tell you that three-way calling is playing a role in that. So we definitely want to talk about that. The power of personal development. Again, back to the mindset. As a leader, now more than ever, personal development will play a critical role in how you go into 2017. Tough conversations, setting boundaries, setting accountability. I think another reasons why many people don't succeed in direct selling is because of a lack of accountability. Right? I'm not her boss. I'm her sponsor, so she doesn't have to do anything I say. And because I'm not her boss, she doesn't hold herself accountable. So this lack of accountability, I believe, is pervasive. And there are ways that we can hold people accountable, set boundaries, still keep it fun, still keep it real, but treat it like a business as opposed to a hobby, right? So accountability, definitely. Language skills. I just got a call from a top leader from another company yesterday, and we're starting a course soon, and a different type of course. And she's like, we want the language. They want the language, closing language, ask for the order language, referral language. And so we'll definitely do a lot of coaching on language in this leadership course as well, because I get it, we all want the language. And how I like to train language is I'm going to give you the language, but I'm going to tell you, look, I don't want you to sound like me. I want you to sound like you. That's how you're going to come across authentic and real, non-persuasive, simply sharing your passion. So we'll definitely do a lot of language. Do you do A-team calls, what I call the A-team calls? Do you know how to do an effective, brief 20-minute A-team call with your key leaders, like your key leaders? A weekly call, what does that look like? How do we make sure that it's productive? How do we know that it's directing them on those key activities of prospecting and working with the right people? So we can definitely talk about that. And I mean, we could talk all morning. There are hundreds and hundreds of leadership topics. And that's another thing I like to do with this course. Before we get started, we'll have an email where you can reach me. And if there's specific leadership topics that you're dealing with that perhaps you'd like some help on, and it can be anything. Stacy knows nothing's off base with me. I mean, nothing's out of bounds with me. So if you could just write me an email and say, you know, Leslie, I'm dealing with this. I don't need a dissertation. Just, hey, I'm dealing with this. What do you say when this happens? Or how do you deal with this? Or I want this to happen in my organization. How do I train this? We customize this to meet your needs as well. And there's a lot of interaction in the 6 classes as well. I do some talking, then I stop and I open it up and I say, all right, ladies, let's have some feedback. Let's have some takeaways. Let's have some thoughts. How do we drill down? Right? This is your class, your leadership class. And one thing I can assure you, and I have done a lot of leadership classes, then I'll open it up for any questions or whatnot. I do a lot of leadership classes. You will, at the end of 6 calls, look at your leadership differently. You will be more confident in your leadership. You will know what to do more with your leadership. You will know how to look at your organization in a newer way, a broader way, with a more professional way. You'll have skills and strategies on how to sponsor, lead, and drive points faster than ever before. You'll know how and why to develop more leaders to silver faster. And again, not that silver is the destination, but hey, that one gauge, like I said, you can't get them to ruby, you can't get them to emerald, you can't move them up the pay plan if we can't get them off the dime and get them to silver. And all the reasons why pace makes a difference. So I will bring my A game every call, and I guarantee you that you will find the leadership support that you're looking for. So with that, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to open up to Stacy or Michelle or Julie or Claire or anyone else who's on the call for any questions or comments.
Anybody want to unmute themselves and ask a few questions?
Or just say how much fun this is talking together this morning.
One thing I want to point out, they are 6 one-hour courses. We already have the dates and times established. It's in the call from today. All of the dates and times are already listed there, the sessions, so you can feel free to look back at that. I know one thing I was kind of thinking, Leslie, I've gone to 2 of your workshops now. I know a bunch of the people on this call today are going to see you in Ohio in March. So what would you say to somebody that's thinking, well, maybe I'll just wait to March, I'll just do that Saturday training, or I've already done one of the Saturday trainings. How is this going to be so much, how is it going to be different than what we've already seen or will see?
That's a great question. Okay, for the Saturday trainings, I'm very conscious that the audience are everyone from brand newbie ambassadors all the way up to diamonds and double diamonds. So my content and my tone takes that into consideration. Leadership And again, I'm never firm and I'm never not fun. Okay. I'm always high on the fun factor, but leadership is leadership. And what we do in these 6 calls are topics that wouldn't be appropriate in a Saturday training because there's too many newbies in the room, right? So I give them what they need and reinforce fundamentals for everybody on a Saturday training. It makes a big difference, but we only have 6 hours together to talk about leadership. And that's what our tone is. And that's what our topic is. That's why it's Ruby and higher or senior Ruby and higher. We don't allow or invite people who aren't to that certain level because this isn't information they should be hearing or need to be hearing right now. This is a leadership class, leadership agenda, leadership conversation, you know, and I start the course by saying, look, this is a safe environment, confidentiality, what we say in this course stays with this course. You get a replay. I wouldn't be passing the replay around to anybody. This replay is for you only. And this is us to talk turkey about what does it take to be a strong leader? What does it mean to be a leader? How do I lead better? And how do I develop more leaders in my organization? So this is unlike anything else. And you know, people love the 2-hour leadership dinner. This is what started this whole thing. The girls came up the next morning like, I didn't sleep last night. You know, this was so good. And to me, that's the best thing I want to hear Saturday morning from the leaders. That means we all did our job right. But you can only do so much in 2 hours, right? 6 hours is a fair enough time to really drill down into leadership. Now, people who want to wait till March, that's fine. My point would be, you know, how quickly do you want to get off the dime in the new year? Like, how quickly do you want to learn to lead? How quickly do you want to jumpstart your business, right? Like, we made up these times. I'm booked solid. We made up these times because I couldn't tell Stacy no, and Jamie was excited, and Lynn was excited, and these other gals there were, they're all excited about leadership. So we made up these times. That's why they're a little random. And yet, it's time. It's time for you all, you know? And I hear a lot from Plexus people that they just don't get. They get good upline leadership training, so I'm conscious of that, but they just don't get the leadership training in general that they're looking for. That's why we do this.
Well, I'm really excited, and I'll see you in March in Ohio. So Stacy, where did you say we can find all the dates for the calls?
In the event from today, and I think it's the about section, the details of the page, it's all, like, if you
Okay.
it's the very bottom. I can send it to you, Julie.
The calls are in the morning, Julie. How I feel strongly as compared to emerging leader courses or whatnot, where a lot of people have jobs still. Leadership classes, I like in the morning. I don't want the leaders dragging their butt at the end of a long day, you know, a kid on the hip and they're tired. No, leadership first thing in the morning, bam, let's go. Let's get your head in the game. Let's talk about the leadership so you can literally carry it into your work day. So that's another aspect of leadership.
Before work times then?
Yeah, I don't have the times in front of me. I know Stacy does. We really had to just randomly choose. I know they were keen on getting started fairly soon. They wanted a first quarter class. So they are early in the morning. Stacy, when do they start? Like 7 my time?
Most of them are at 10 a.m. Let's see. 10 a.m. Eastern. I know some of you are working, or Julie, you're teaching, and we will be recording them as well.
Okay.
Most of them are 10 a.m. I think there's 2 11:30 a.m.s.
Quick question for you. For those that say do have another job and they can't be on the call at 10 a.m. or 11:30, do you think that they would still be able to truly benefit from the recording if they pay the money to be a part of this?
Yeah, I get that question all the time. Good morning, Jamie. I get that question all the time. So here's what I recommend. Listen to the replay and then schedule time with your sponsor or someone in your upline, right? And so let's say, Jamie, you were my upline and I'm listening on replay. I'm going to listen on replay. You're going to get all the same information, but then I would schedule a 10-minute call with you so we could talk about my takeaways. So I could still make it real as if I was on the call live. So I'd say, wow, when I heard black, or I want to put this into practice. And this is going to allow you to be a great leader. And this is going to allow her to have someone to voice her takeaways. Also, there's a Facebook page, and that's another way that people who can't listen live are able to post their takeaways on the Facebook page. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. Yeah.
I know this is going to be a question that we get. I know there's a fee that is involved with this. So can we discuss that?
I thought we had, okay, it's $397. for 6 calls. So I keep it very affordable because, again, it's all about leadership and helping you get to be the best leader that you can be. I mean, if you compare that to my private coaching fees, I mean, it's nominal. But this isn't private coaching. This is group coaching. So
Right.
but that's why I make sure and open it up for Q&A and input. So I'll talk for a while on a topic, then I'll stop and say, okay, you guys, let's get into dialogue so that people can make it real to what's going on in their organization. And again, those people listening on replay are still going to get all that added value because they're going to hear the real life stories. So I keep it affordable on purpose. It's a one-time fee of $397. There's a deadline to agree to be in the course. And so what I do is I make it really simple. You or Stacy, I think it's Stacy, sends me just a list of the names and emails of all the ambassadors that want to be in this class. And then prior to the course, I send out a PayPal invoice. Everybody that secures their spot by the deadline, they're on the correspondence list. We get going. Like I'm not, I'm so busy and this is leaders. So people who want to participate, they secure their spot. If the timing's not right, I appreciate that. But I can assure them they will have a better first quarter if they are in this leadership class.
I couldn't agree with you more. I know that every time that I personally have invested in myself financially, it can seem at the time kind of tough, but what the return on the investment when you invest in yourself this way, the growth that you gain is phenomenal. So, and I know just your event that we attended here in Raleigh on that Saturday a few weeks back, I'm already seeing it was really what I needed. So to have more of an intimate setting to be with you and leaders in our group and sidelines and that type of thing, I think is going to be astronomical. So for any of you that it seems like it's a little tough right now, maybe monetarily, I know Christmas just happened. I would still say do what you need to do to get on, because I think this is going to help take us to the next stratosphere. So
that is the goal. The next stratosphere. Look at you. The next stratosphere. Well, that's really the goal. I mean, the goal isn't just to be chatting. We're going to be talking leadership strategies so that you all have a record first quarter, which sets you up for a record 2017. That's the goal.
do you, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I kind of am. Do you have a, oh Lord, I'm still, as you can see, I'm still in my pajamas, my brain. I have 2 little girls. We had a sleepover last night. So I'm like, bleh. Sorry. But anyway, do you have a, oh, Jamie, come on, get your thoughts together. Do you have some type of a record of what type of growth you see overall with those who do participate in this course?
That's an excellent question. Now, I'm not privy to people's genealogy. Right?
Right.
So I base the success of the courses that I do is on 2 things. Number 1, repeat business, right? So
right.
They wouldn't want 6 more classes if they weren't getting the value, seeing an increase in sponsoring, seeing an increase in points, seeing an increase in growth. So where I can base it on is when I've got this whole group of people, and generally it's just like I know you and Stacy, and they invite their leaders. It's not me. They invite their leaders. It's invitation only. And so these women a lot of times are working with me for the first time. By the 6th class, people are already emailing me, hey, can we do another 6? And so I just put it out to the group. So the way I judge on is that I have a 92%
wow
repeat. I have high repeat, not only for Saturday trainings, but for these courses. I have a very high repeat where they say, we want more, which again, more than looking at their organization, they wouldn't want more if they weren't finding value, because these are leaders and we're busy and we know where we want to put our time and our investment. And so I number 1, I take it from the repeat business, and number 2, I just take it from the emails and the texts and the notes that I get that talk about I'm seeing leadership so much better, I'm sponsoring at a higher pace, I understand my genealogy so much better, I feel more confident, I had a record month, I promoted in title. It's the response that I get, the responses that I get. That's how I judge it. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to say, okay, let me see your paycheck for the last 3 months. But on that point though, I'm all about results, as you know, Jamie, but for the other women, I want you to know, I I know you're going to be inspired. I know you're going to have fun. I know you're going to learn a lot, and I want all that. But for me, I've got my sponsor hat on. This is a leadership course. What I want is by the end of first quarter that you have record growth, record confidence, record check, perhaps promote and title. I want to see growth in your Plexus business. That's the whole point of anything I do with you.
Absolutely. And something that I think that for many that are on the call that haven't already reached Emerald or above, I think that, as you know, with Plexus, we have a huge goal to hit Emerald by July of this year, coming up 2017. So I really hope that this could help you in that regard if you're on this call. One more question I have, Leslie, and then I'll be quiet. I'm full of them today. But for those, I've had a couple questions from some of my leaders who have already hit Jewel status. They have some senior goals who are maybe on the cusp of hitting Ruby. And I know you stated earlier that you did not think that this was really meant for them. Do you think there is any gray area to that, or you feel very firm in that?
Right, the class is for you all. Okay?
Right.
So if you feel this senior gold is true, this is not a class to motivate someone to take action.
Right.
Okay? And this is a course to reward people who are in action to help them move to the next level faster. That's how I see it. So
Okay.
if they have one or two senior golds who's are really working, they are sponsoring, they are on system, they are moving forward, and we see Ruby within 30 days, I have no problem. This is for them. But again, it's leadership. So we're going to be talking about working with a team. So they should have a team so that a lot of what we're talking about makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah. Really good. Excellent
I'm
question.
certainly excited.
I'm excited too. And the timing is perfect. The timing is perfect.
So the courses actually start February 1st, I believe is the first one. And then we need to have that list together of who's participating by the end of January. I think it's around the 21st of January. We have to have the payments in and the information to you.
Yep. So there's a date, Stacy. What is the date for the RSVP?
I am trying to find that. I believe it was around the 21st or the 27th. I can't find it in my email right now, though.
Hold on one second. All right. So, yes, we need the list by January 23rd. That's a Monday. Okay, so that's just where everyone just needs to get to Stacy. Yes, I want to be in the class by January 23rd. And then I'm going to invoice on Thursday, January 26th. And then to secure your spot, it would be by Sunday, the 29th. So we did that so I didn't want to interrupt with month end, but we wanted to get going in February. And the reason we want to start in February, I was talking to Stacy and Jamie, we didn't want to interrupt or interfere with your Super Saturday. We wanted you to have a focus on Super Saturday, drive through that with the idea that there'll be more sponsoring, new people on your team, new vision, new goals, and then we were going to kick off February. So we didn't want it there was enough going on in January with your Super Saturday. That was the logic behind this. Okay?
Perfect.
Was everybody excited?
I am. I am. That's all I can think about, right, Jamie?
Who's ready to rock 2017? Woohoo! Bring it.
Well, I will be sharing the recording of this. So I know there were a bunch of people that could not get on today and have further questions, and then we can feel free to share it with other leaders. And then I'll go ahead and get that list started for you. I'll start a Google Doc so we can start collecting those names and get ready for an amazing 2017.
Well, we'll give everyone an opportunity. Be thinking if there's one or two topics that you're thinking about that you want me to add to the agenda. Like I said, I can spin on a dime. I've been doing this a long time, and this course is for you. I want you to get everything out of this so that you can take your leadership to that next level. So, Stacy, thanks for all your help. Jamie, good input. Everybody, terrific input. And I will look forward to coming together as we jumpstart February.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, Leslie. Thanks,
Bye.
Stacy.